in the beginning of COVID, and I was living in New York City, and I had left my job to pursue doing more of this style content, media, and wanting to do some shows. And I'd been introduced to some Food Network folks and production companies and so on. So I was really kind of getting into it, and I started to think that I could maybe scratch this creative itch through this type of medium as well. I knew natural, because nobody knew what it would be like. So we're still a bunch of fools and clowns in season 2 and 3, but we now know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, there's more structure to it also,
we had no idea.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just capture as much as we can and what we can put on TV, because obviously there's some stuff we just can't put on there.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
That's the juicy parts, but
it's too much.
Tejas.
Still too.
Tejas Hunt Club Podcast is the podcast for you and you and you.
What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 42, 42, 41, 43, 42. I just looked it up. I did. But welcome to episode 42 of the Tejas Hunt Club Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon McDowell, and today I'm joined by Megan McDowell for this intro. For this podcast, guys, we're going to be sitting down with Chef Jean-Paul Bouugeois of Louisiana. He is our Cajun brother from another mother, and we're going to be talking about his show, Duck Camp Dinners. If you haven't watched his show before, if you watched it on YouTube, if you saw it through Meat Eater, he's coming out with season 3 this year. They're already 3 episodes deep, so you got a little bit of catching up. You can binge watch for a little bit, and as he mentions in the podcast, these episodes for this season are going to be a little bit longer, which is cool. They get to tell a little bit more of the story of the duck camps and the people that they're hanging out with. So I'm really excited for it. I've already seen the first 3 episodes.
Definitely binge-worthy.
Yeah, so definitely go check those out. And we're going to tell you a little bit more about the show in this podcast, a little bit more about him, a little bit about cooking, and then cooking for huge crowds of people, as he just got back about a month ago from the Delta Waterfowl Expo, where he cooked breakfast for a whole ton of people. So we're going to get into that in the podcast. But first, we're going to talk a little dove hunting, because as we record this, actually, never mind, not dove hunting yet.
You skipped all the way to the end.
I skipped you. I did. You just sitting there.
Okay.
But I'm going to start that piece over. But before we get into the podcast, we got a little business to take care of. About a week ago, Megan took a little field trip out to Selmark Ranch out in Northeast Texas, and she's going to tell us a little bit about that trip.
Yeah, so it's been a couple years, but I made my way back out there. Kevin Reese invited us. Shout out to Kevin. We love going out to Sightmark Ranch. I say we. Brandon hasn't been able to go yet.
No.
I love to go out to Sightmark Ranch because basically it's a 3-day or 2.5-day trip where I get together with other influencers and creators in the industry, and we go out there to test optics, from thermals with pulsar to Sightmark red dots and magnifiers and everything that they have on those ARs. They have us set up out in the range, and they just finished their new range too. So they have a 50-yard bay now in addition to a 100-yard bay. And they also already had this, but one of the coolest parts is that you can do a mile shot while you're out there if you're talented enough and the wind isn't crazy. The wind was kind of nuts this trip. A little bit hot outside, but I mean, it's August, so it's totally fine. It was a fun time. At night, we get to test the pulsar thermal optics. And so I think I had a set of binos, and I had a double, which was a rangefinder, or a duo rather, a rangefinder and a thermal all in one, which was really cool. And so I have a video coming out this week that I'm going to show you guys a recap of all of the different optics that we shot. Kevin also goes through all the details about all their products and what advancements they've made in the last few years. So stay tuned for that and let us know what you think about it.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool. We like showing the stuff that we get to do, like going on these trips like this to test out optics and stuff, because I know if we're not looking to build something or put something on, I know a few of our listeners are. So check out that video when Megan drops it later this week, and you'll get to look at some new optics that are coming out from Sightmark and Pulsar. So it's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
as we record this intro for this podcast today is September 2nd, the day after opening day. But today's going to be our opening day as we're headed off after we record this to go to the Stewards of the Wild Austin chapter dove hunt. We're going to try and knock down some birds this afternoon. I know I've been seeing some pictures and videos. A little jealous yesterday because we didn't get to go. But hopefully today the birds will be flying. So we're going hunting today. Friday we'll be traveling up to Albany, Texas for the Stewards of the Wild statewide dove hunt. And then the weekend after that, I'll be headed to Lubbock to go reconvene with the boys from Three Beavers Tattoos and Gun Club and the El Patron dove hunt up there with Crooked Wing Outfitters. So we're going to be having a lot of content coming out. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you're missing out. If you're not following the Instagram page, any of ours, you're definitely missing out. So after you listen to this podcast, or you can go right now, pause, go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, Bar MC Media, go to Instagram and Facebook, Tejas Hunt Club, Google it. It'll be real easy. It'll pop up, I promise. Bar MC Media, and follow us. Check out our content. Leave a like. Leave a comment. If you don't like it, tell us. Tell us what you don't like about it. We'll try and fix it. It ain't guarantee it's going to happen, but
all engagement.
But hey, you voiced your opinion, which you are entitled to. So, guys, we want to thank you for listening to the podcast again this week. We want to thank you for listening every week that you do. Share it with a friend if you enjoy the podcast. Leave a little rate, review. It really helps us out. And good luck this season. Dove, deer, elk, whatever it is, have fun chasing it. Oh, pronghorn. Yeah, we're been having a little fun
on the
about
list.
That. Yeah.
Hopefully in the next couple of years.
2025 for sure.
Oh, next year apparently.
Yeah. Working out some deals in the DMs. Always goes down in the DMs. So thanks again, guys, for listening to the podcast, checking out our videos, and we'll catch you next week.
See y'all.
But man, dude, it's been a minute.
It has, man. It has. How's life in Austin? What's going on? Like, you got you a full-time gig? What's the deal?
Yeah, so I work on the marketing team at Silencer Shop, hence the shirt. Yeah. Well, I'll say one good thing about like moving like to this job or over any job I've had so far.
Yeah,
like we get so much cool gear. Like my boss Elliot, like he designs all these cool T-shirts that we get to wear. So like my work wardrobe is done. Like it's legit. Like it's a T-shirt like this with some kind of cool design on it. Like it's set. Like I gotta get a whole nother closet for as many shirts as I have now. But like that's been pretty cool. But no, I've working on the marketing team there. So I'm the marketing coordinator. So I do a lot of the mail outs, the patches, all the swag stuff that gets sent out. I manage the inventory for all the suppressors and guns that we use to shoot content. Like I handle all the paperwork and setting all that stuff up. So I kind of do a little bit of everything, take some pictures, do video stuff, shoot B camera. So it's been a lot of fun because it's not like I go into this job and it's like every day we're doing the same thing. Like one day we might be doing a content shoot. Like one day we need to pack swag up. Like one day it's just changing. So it's always like something new, and like they're growing and they're adding a bunch of new stuff. Like we're about to have a whole bunch of new stuff coming out, a new website, all that kind of stuff. So it's been cool to get thrown in the mix.
You look happy. Your energy is excited when you talk about it. That's good. That's different from what I've seen in the past from you with the job and out of College Station or Bryan, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely different, and it's a lot more fun out here. I mean, we live in Burnett, so it's north of Austin, so I'm out of most of the craziness, and then like the office is in Cedar Park, so it's in North Austin, so I don't really have to go down unless we have like an event or something like that and go downtown and stuff.
Yeah. I've actually had a number of communications with whoever runs the Instagram account with them, because I was asking them questions about, because I have this Rock Island SR 17 or something, SV 17. semi-auto mag-fed shotgun.
Yeah.
It's a fun little gun. I won it in an auction. I mean, it's not like, it's not the greatest one, but I was like, I wonder if I like soup this thing up and put a suppressor on it, because it kicks like a mule.
Yeah. Like, how long is the barrel on it? Is it pretty short?
6 inches.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine.
Compact little guy. And I have nothing on it. It has flip up sights.
Yeah.
I mean, it's straight stock, and it's funny, they had a rebate for a 19 round mag. So I have a 19 like round banana clip mag for it. And you load that. I mean, it takes me 30 minutes to load it up. It's that spring so tight in there.
Yeah.
I'm like, my thumbs raw, and I was like, I'm loading this thing up once in my life, and I'm like tapping out the mag on it.
Yeah. Dude, that'd be pretty fun. No, that's probably Garrett. Yeah, that's probably Garrett. Like, I do most of the social now, but I would have said it was me if I was talking to you. I'd have been like, "Hey, man, it's Brandon." But it's probably Garrett. But yeah, dude, that'd be a cool little build, man. I'll have to talk to him and see if we can do something, because like we're always trying to do like new stuff and create new content and like all that. And I mean, if you put a suppressor on there, it'd be like a neat little build we could do or something.
Yeah, I don't know what else can be done. Like, I've always wanted a home defense shotgun.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm comfortable with, right? Like, I mean, I'm comfortable with my pistol, and that's all fine, but like really comfortable with a shotgun. And so I was like, I should have one of these. And I ended up winning one in the auction, and it happened to be that one. But other than the basics of it, I don't know what else I could do with it. I know it needs a suppressor, because like you could never do this with it.
Yeah. No.
It's like poof, poof,
Yeah.
Yeah, thing is wicked. But and then you unload 15 rounds out of that mag, and you're like, all right,
I'm done. We can put that one up.
That's enough.
Yeah. No, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, JK has it's a shotgun suppressor, and Silencer Co has one too. But like, it's shotgun suppressors are probably, I would say, is from what I've learned so far as like the technology and the things that are really people like innovating and stuff. It's like at the bottom of the list of like, hey, we're going to come out with something new for shotguns. Unfortunately, I mean, of course, you're going to have the guys that are 5.56. Your AR calibers and hunting calibers are going to be the main ones that they're really coming out with, like new tech and new things like that out. But it'd be cool to do a little build with a Salvo 12 from Silencer Co. or the JK SBRX.
When I was doing the research, and whoever was talking to me, they had mentioned there was two that they carried and would recommend for, and in my head I was like, anything's better than nothing. So whatever, and I've never put a suppressor on any of my guns at this point. I'm just never going through the paperwork and actually do it, but I need to get off my ass and do it,
dude. And it's going to be a plug, and people are going to think this, I'm just plugging my job, but like Silencer Shop makes it so easy. I just got my first one back last week. So I did an SBR, which is a short barrel rifle, and then I got a suppressor too. And I actually posted about both of them today on my Instagram. But it's easy. Like, everything's online. You do your fingerprints one time, and it's saved on your profile. Like, the only thing that you have to do yearly is update your photo, and you can do it from the Silencer Shop app. So you just hold your camera up, take a passport style photo, make sure your background's good, and then re-upload it, and that's it.
Making it pretty hard to say no there.
Dude, I know. I just, like, I was talking to the guys at work today, because I'm trying to build some rifles, and I was like, they're like, what are you doing over there, man? Because like, we're on lunch. I was like, to be honest with you, I'm doing research on the next suppressor I'm gonna get, and they're like, you just got one last week. I'm like, yeah, I know. And to be honest with you, I haven't even shot it yet, but I'm already looking for the next one. But yeah, I got some catching up to do. I mean, there's guys out there, like we have customers that have like, 30 guns, and every gun has a suppressor on it. Because I mean, once you shoot suppressed, like it's you don't really want to go back, especially for rifles, for sure.
Yeah, I've learned that as well. I've now gotten to, my brother-in-law's rifle that I shot at elk with is, I think you and I had talked about it one time. He built it from scratch. He loads his own loads.
Yeah.
He gets really serious and long, like distance shooting and so on. And then I have my 300 Win Mag. Sorry, brain fart there.
Yeah.
My 300 Win Mag, which I've shot a lot of deer with at this point, but I shoot a low recoil round for the most part. For the most part, it's as I'm shooting does off of feeders at 100 yards, because I just want the meat. I'm just grocery shopping,
Yeah.
So does at 100 yards with a low recoil, bullet, and that seems to be like the closest I can get to having a suppressor without being a suppressor in terms of the recoil. I mean, it's just like it almost feels like shooting a 22 with that recoil round. But I know if I ever take that bad boy out to do some like longer distance stuff or some bigger game,
you'd have to get a different round.
I should probably have a suppressor for it.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like that's one thing that a lot of people, like you were saying, the recoil reduction on them, like it calms it down a lot, man, a whole lot. Especially like when you're hunting, anything like that, just anything to make it a little bit easier. Keeps your gun pretty flat too for like second shots that you might have to make or something like that. You don't have it bouncing all over the place or really trying to hold it down. Dude, suppressors are the way to go for sure.
I believe it.
Yeah, man.
I've seen it happen. Yeah.
Well, shoot, dude, we kind of had a pretty good intro. Didn't really even have to do one right there, dude. I was been excited for this because just to catch up with you and everything, because we're sitting on this podcast with Chef Jean-Paul Bouugeois, my Cajun brother from another mother. I got to do I'd say like one of the bigger like accomplishments I'd say in video for me was definitely with Mr. Jean-Paul here, because I was scrolling on Instagram one day and he posted on his story, and I followed him because I watched his show Duck Cam Dinners, which we're going to talk about today. But I followed him from that and in his cooking and everything that he did. And he posted on his story one day that he was looking for a videographer, and he was down in Montgomery. And I was like, you know what, dude, I'm just going to try it out. Like, because I'll be honest, I was a little intimidated. I mean, he had been on Meat Eater. He put out all this great content. And I'm like, man, is he really going to like let me like have this opportunity? And lo and behold, I messaged him back, and we went through a couple messages back and forth. We met up, and it was a good time the whole time. Cause I mean, I got to film, I got to hone in on my craft, as you would say. And I got to eat some of the best food, Sorry, Mom, but some of the best food I've had in my life. So, Chef Jean-Paul, with that, man, give us a little intro about yourself. Let the listeners know what you're about, where you come from, and what you do, man.
Yeah, well, like for all those listen, Brandon was a lifesaver for me, because those who know me know I love creating content. I love conceptualizing content. I love executing content, but I hate editing and using a camera. Like I will do it if I need to, and I'll do it off my phone. But I was on a run of doing some content pieces for some brands, and I was like, I just don't have it in me to do all these videos by myself on my phone and set up a tripod. I was like, please, somebody help. And Brandon was the guy who answered the call. And that's why when we started off like this on this podcast, I was like, this is good to catch up with my dude right here.
Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, look, man, Duck Camp Dinners, season 3 just dropped, first episode. Another one, we have 6 episodes in season 3, so we'll have 5 more to go. And they're all 44 minutes long, 44 minutes long. And like I said, I like creating content. And so we just figured we shoot so much, and we're so unscripted that, and for the most part, we know where we're going to go. We know we're going to hunt with. We know what we might hunt, but everything else is left for just to organically happen, which means you always have to have a camera running because you're not scheduling these things to happen.
Yeah.
We end up with this shoot. I had 50 terabytes of raw footage from season 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And season 3 came up to be around 25 terabytes. And so, that if we don't use it all, a lot of that just goes into the black hole of post-production and gets seen. And so we said, if we have enough to make a compelling 45-minute show, so an hour long with commercials, then let's just go ahead and make it. Let's make the show that we want to make, and not one that everybody thinks we should or expects that we should. And I push back a lot on this idea that people don't have the attention spans, or people only want reels or short or 22 or whatever. I just push back on that, because even though there's this large group of people and consumers, meeting consumers in the world that like just want 30-second, 45-second, minute thing and just keep scrolling. I still think there's a large portion, mostly underserved folks, that want to sit down, watch a show, get into it, take a recipe from it, take 2 recipes from it, maybe some ideas. And so you're not always rushed to get through it. And I call that going deep, not wide. And so we get to go deep into the arc of an episode by 44 minutes and really like get to some, like getting to understand some people. Like you saw Jim Caesar in episode 1. We would never been able to really carve out that 5 minutes for him. And that 5 minutes ain't a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
But in 45 minutes it is, right? I mean, it's an eighth of it, essentially. So we would never be able to do that without, and that was something that was really important to us, is like not just gloss over who these people were, the camp we were at, and all their contributions, but to really give them the respect and time that we needed in that episode. I'm really proud that we went with 44 minutes for that reason. So that's season 3, and there's 5 more to go, man. And I'm really proud of this season, how we were able to pull it together. But it's been a bruiser. It's much. Making that long of an episode is, I mean, it's like making 2 22 or 30-minute episodes like we've done in the past, but put into one. And you don't think that, add another 15 to 20 minutes would be a big deal. You got the footage anyway.
Yeah.
But it's a big deal. But it's been a ride. And right now, like, I'm in full fundraising mode for season 4. And I'm trying to find the right brand partners to do this with me again in season 4. But I'm going to enjoy the ride here in season 3, and hopefully everybody enjoys it with me.
Dude, for sure. And I like I said, I've watched Duck Camp Dinner since the season 1. So to hear that y'all are expanding on that, because y'all didn't do the longer form episodes before, and expanding on that and being able, like you said, to tell those stories about all the people that are involved. It's real cool to see, real cool to hear, because like from a production side, like I understood every single thing that you said about having all that footage and being handcuffed really to be like, we're only going to push out 22 minutes. Because I mean, as our listeners know, if you ever watch hunting television or hunting shows, period, that it's 22 minutes to make a 30-minute show. That's been the majority of how hunting shows have ran. Jim Shockey kind of broke that mold when he had the Uncharted and started going to an hour. Like that was a big deal when that happened. And then of course you get YouTube and all the other platforms that you can put content on. And it's like the longer form stuff's still gonna be there, because to me, I equate it to people going to watch a movie. Like if you're going to do the longer form stuff, it needs to be higher production, I think. you really need to think out some stuff. And of course, hunting, you really can't do that as or plan as much as you can, but you try to set parameters of what you can do, but it needs to be a higher production. You're going to have more people involved. You're going to have better equipment involved. Like that's what that longer form content I think is going to be made for. It's to sit down, like you said, watch a show as if you were going to the movies, like, or watching, the Avengers or something like that, but it's about hunting, and a lot of people are putting out a lot of films and shows and stuff, and I enjoy a huge majority of them. But like you said, like it's more work because you think, oh, we got the footage anyway, like and we could just put it together, but it's still trying to take that extra time that you have and still tell a story, because you don't want somebody to get the 22 minutes and be like, oh, well, the story's over, and then the other 22 minutes or however long isn't being watched, because it's not all tying together. But you have all these different people that you're involved with. You're bringing on the show and hunting with different people, so it changes. So you're excited every week to see who Jean-Paul's hunting with and who's going to be in camp, what's going to be cooked. So I kind of want to, some of our listeners, if they haven't, hopefully they have, if they don't know what Duck Camp Dinners was like brought from, like what started it, kind of tell them about that. Like what made you have this idea and start with this?
Yeah, look, I mean, we were in the beginning of COVID, and I was living in New York City, and I had left my job to pursue doing more of this style content and media, and wanting to do some shows. And I'd been introduced to some Food Network folks and production companies and so on. So I was really kind of getting into it, and I started to think that I could maybe scratch this creative itch through this type of medium as well. I knew how to do it by cooking and putting it on a plate of food. That's one way I've done it all my life. But I really saw this opportunity of creating video and film as an opportunity to be creative in that way as well, while still knowing where my path is, and that's in food and cooking and so on. So Duck Camp Dinners, that was, I guess, the very genesis of it. But when it really came down to it, I saw this camp that I always went to in South Terrebonne Parish in Gibson. It's out of Bayou Black. For those who are listening that know about South Louisiana, Bayou Black is one of those freshwater swamps and marshes that it doesn't take you long to get to Brackish, and then you go far enough, you're in the Gulf of Mexico type of thing. And it's just a wonderful habitat that we've hunted all our lives. My friend's camp, Jay Scheck-Snyder, my best friend. Look, I mean, you don't get an invite to that camp and not go. It's one of those places that there's a certain core group of us that go, like automatic invites, and then there's 3 or 4 that kind of fluctuate depending on what's going on, work, and so on and so forth. But for the most part, you really try to go. And I've watched this camp and these friendships kind of grow and change and evolve as we've gotten married, and then kids and work and everything, life changes, but that just didn't ever seem to change, that place. And I wanted to capture that from like just a documenting point of view. And I wanted like to memorialize it, to always have it, because I knew that any hurricane season could blow that camp into the marsh, sink it, and so on. We never have it again. Yes, we could rebuild something or get it something, but I just always feared that if we didn't document it now, we would lose it. And so that's what we did. And I was on a shoestring budget. It was extremely grassroots. I told our 2 cameramen at the time, Daniel Bagby, who still runs camera for us, and Dylan Farrell, who's now the director of marketing for Shin Gear. I said, I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm thinking it's going to be 8-minute episodes, but like just film. And if y'all are into it, film, and we'll dice it up in post. And again, like once we saw it in post, it was, well, there's a lot going on here, and this could be a really great thing to stretch out to 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
We filmed that 6 episodes for that season in 5 days. So we got 6 episodes out of 5 days. Now it takes us 2.5 days of filming to film 1 episode.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, and that's still, I mean, that's for a full hour, but we are getting it the whole time. So, that was Duck Camp Dinner season 1. It was from this like genuine place of just wanting to document it, want to memorialize this place, these people, the friendships, the stuff. I mean, there's still episodes in episode 1 and season 1 where I'm like, God, that was just so natural, because nobody knew what it would be like. So we were still we're still a bunch of fools and clowns in season 2 and 3, but we now know what it's going to be like.
Yeah, there's more structure to it also,
we had no idea.
Yeah.
And we were like, let's just capture as much as we can and what we can put on TV, because obviously there's some stuff we just can't put on there.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
The juicy parts, but that's how it started, man. And then Meat Heater got a hold of it and licensed season 1 and executive produced 2. When I left Meat Eater, I wanted to continue making Duck Camp Dinners on my own, and just continue to have all the creative freedom. I own everything around the show, so it allows me to be really athletic and flexible at where that goes and who I give it to. And I tell you what, YouTube is a juggernaut, right?
Yeah.
It's a juggernaut. But if you can get a good channel on YouTube and then tap into streaming services and these fast video on demand platforms, then you broaden your net to a place where, again, YouTube's a juggernaut. And if you got it good on YouTube, keep getting it good. But I really believe if you want to show your partners that how many millions and millions and millions of eyes you're really getting in front of, find a solid YouTube channel to get your show on, build a solid YouTube channel, but also look at things like Waypoint TV, who's a streaming app on multiple different platforms.
Yeah.
And just things like that, because those channels are kind of really need the content. If you have the network to get into them, you can really build out a robust distribution platform for yourself and for brand partners. And really that's my goal is always to be, I want as many people watching Duck Camp Dinners as possible, period.
Yeah.
And so what's that going to take? I'm not giving any exclusivity to a YouTube channel. No, I don't care how big they are. Because not everybody watches TV on YouTube as much as we think everybody does.
Yeah.
And there's still a large group of people that want to sit down on a couch, not go to a YouTube app and watch half-baked productions, really watch something on TV. So that's why we've always made the show. We've always shot in 4K. And because we always said at the we want it to better be on any platform.
Yep.
And not just shoot it for a YouTube where it might, that doesn't always fit the program of maybe a Vizio or LG or Samsung channel.
Yeah.
So we always said we want to shoot it for a Netflix, for a Warner Brothers, for a Discovery. And if we put it on YouTube or any other video on demand, whatever, then fine. But at least
you can always export it down.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. You can always export it down. So anyways, this is no, I work with a number of different folks now who have a lot of experience in big media, and they talk about $400,000 episodes.
Yeah.
That's not Duck Winners at all, but the amount of resources and time and thought that we put into these episodes are probably just as much as any big series, just without the budget of that. So again, that's more credit to our editors and the hard work that go on behind the scene, and pat myself on the back for that, because I'm essentially the only one who plans these things. So
yeah,
I pretty much take care of most of the pre-production stuff and where we're going to go in production. And Daniel and I collaborate big time while we're in production, and then he kind of takes over the editing in post. And then that's where I come in and collaborate where I can do my voiceover, write, come up with some creative things. But he's really the wizard behind the computer screen, putting it all together. you know?
Yeah. And it looks awesome. It's looked good from day one, but like it's like you said earlier with the 52 terabytes, people don't understand how much that costs to even hold the cards that go into cameras. How much I posted this thing on my story yesterday. I think it was like the evolution of cameras, or getting a camera, or getting into video or anything. And it starts out like you buy a camera, then you buy a lens, then you buy a tripod, and then it's like, oh, you want to get into video? Okay, now you need a computer. Now you need a bigger SD card. Now you need some microphones, not just one. You need about 5 of them, and it just starts going and going and going. And then at the end of it, it's like it says, that's why sometimes we can't. This is why we can't shoot for free, and it is true. Like I would. There's some places I would love to shoot for free, but all that stuff costs money, and it's got to come out of somebody's pocket because it's expensive. I wish camera equipment was a lot cheaper, but once you get to, like you said, shooting on 4K, you're running up SD cards quick, and then you're as much as you're like going with the production and keeping those cameras rolling, the more time, the more space you're taking up, and then you have to have a computer fast enough to even handle all that, and that's another 3-4 grand for a computer that can handle it. Then it, like I said, it's ever evolving, but once you do have it all together and you kind of get to that point, it's kind of just doing the work after that.
Yeah. Look, I do not envy y'all at all. I remember I thought a fairly what I thought was an expensive like camera just for photography. It was a Sony. I forget the model. It was about $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got him like, oh, right, this is cool, and and then I have the lens that comes with it, right? And I'm like taking photos. I'm like, man, like I really can't get my like food photos looking right, not how I want. And so I go to the store, and they're like, yeah, you need this lens. And I gave up on this a long time ago. I couldn't even tell you what lenses was. He's like, that's $1,200 or something like that. I'm like, I just bought a $1,200 camera. It came with a lens. That lens should better do this, right? He goes, actually, no, that's a mid-level lens. You need something that comes in tight and still gets all the colors and the light and so on. That ain't, I'm spending $2,500 to take food from like to the experts. That's why that's why I get my oil changed at 5. I'm going to get my oil changed. I'm going to experts to get my photography. Like, yeah, look, it is a commitment. You nailed it when you said that's why I can't do it for free. And there's a time when you're 25, 30 years old, maybe, and maybe you're just starting out in whatever career you are. And maybe you do things on the cheap because you just want the experience, or you want to get in a network with these folks who you're maybe shooting for. And all that has value to it, no doubt.
Yeah. And I'll say for sure that I have done stuff for free. Yeah. A lot of stuff for free.
Shoot, do something for free, I think. But as you get older, I'm only 40. I just turned 40 in May. But it wasn't until probably 10 years ago, as I was turning my 30s, where I was like, you know what? Like, I don't know anybody that knows as much as I do about cooking and food. And for somebody to ask me to do things for free, even like I will give recipes all day long to people. But most of the stuff I cook is like free form. It's just, you've seen me cook before. Like, it's not like I'm following a recipe.
Yeah.
And for me to stop while I'm cooking and write things down and then retest it and then give it to somebody random because they asked me on direct message over Instagram, I'm like, no. Like, you got $500? Because I'll get the ingredients again, do it, test it, because that's what it costs for me to write a recipe. Anybody who asks me, like, just a recipe.
Yeah, because it has to be. It has to be. I don't want to say like not dumb enough, but like it has to be like simple enough. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. It has to be simple enough that anybody can pick it up. And there's a lot of things that I watched you do, and I'm like, and even the simple things that you did do, I'm like, I never really thought about doing it that way, but that looks a whole lot better. And that knowledge cost you time.
Yeah, look, that knowledge only comes from reps, thousands and thousands and thousands of reps. Like, there's a difference between somebody with 1 million Instagram followers on Instagram who cook in their backyard. They probably make a damn good brisket or great ribs or whatever, bacon wrapped meatloaf. It doesn't.
Yeah.
You don't get to where I am without cooking 5,000 6-ounce filet mignons in a cast iron skillet over and over and over and over again for the course of 5 years. I one time did the math. In 3 years, I cooked over 350 suckling pigs at one restaurant. One restaurant. Like, I never documented it on Instagram. I never took of it. It was my job to cook these 4 pigs every day, 5 days a week for 3 years. And that's how you get good at roasting a suckling pig, ladies and gentlemen. It's not by following what the dude in the backyard with 1 million followers does. That guy, maybe he did cook that many suckling pigs in his life. I don't know. But there's a difference between folks who have reps and folks that don't. And that's, I hate to tell everyone, in every profession, whether you're picking up trash cans for the city, or you're doing somebody's business taxes, or you're cooking in a professional kitchen, reps matter. And that's how you become an expert at things. So to say that, I get it a dozen times a day. Do you have a recipe for that? Do you have a recipe for that? Do you have a recipe for that? And like a lot of times I want to say, no, figure it out like I did. I don't know what to tell you. Like I got 12 things on my laundry list to do today, and sitting down and writing this recipe is not one of them for you. But really, I try to angle these conversations like, you don't need a recipe. Watch what I did. Listen to what I say and just go try it.
Yeah.
Right. And if you fail, which you probably will the first time, because I did, but you remember, this is my 1,500th time.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing right now is typically not like the first time that I salt bake a speckled trout, right? Like I have literally done that 1,000, 2,000 times.
Yeah.
So if you happen to mess it up on the first time, don't get discouraged. Just go catch another fish and finish cooking it in the oven, and y'all are still going to have a good time and eat it. Like people just take it food was always meant to be fun and shareable and a source of substance, not something that, we had to legitimize ourselves over a photo on Instagram.
Yeah,
that's
for
not
sure
why food exists. So I'm always a big believer in getting back into that and sharing recipes when I can, when it makes sense. For the most part, just encouraging people to take what I do or what other people do and make it your own. Go out and have fun, experiment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'll say, like, I cook a lot, and I'll share it. I love cooking, and I'll share it sometimes. Not that I'm some, like you said, no trained chef or anything, but the way I learned to cook, if it wasn't from a family member that taught me, and maybe it's that, like, maybe people don't cook as much at home, but like I grew up with my aunts, my uncles, everybody in my family cooked. Like everybody, they made some dish that was like their dish. Like you knew when my Aunt G was coming over, she was probably going to make seafood. Like you knew that because she's good at cooking it. So if I didn't learn it from them, I learned it from watching the Food Network, and I would see something that I could make, and I'd go in my kitchen and as a kid, junior high and high school and stuff, and I'd be like, I wonder if I could make this. Well, I don't have like this kind, so maybe I have this, or just put it together. And trust me, I burned a lot of stuff, but I learned how to cook. And like now, like you said, you can look at Instagram and see the recipe and see somebody else make it, and then you can try it. You don't have to have this easy button of you need a 1/4 cup of flour, you need a teaspoon of this, a tablespoon of that. Just make it how you would think it should be made. Now, bacon, that's a little different. You got to be pretty exact on your science to get it to rise and stuff. But if you're cooking dinner, lunch, breakfast, you don't need a script to make it. Just try it.
Yeah, I agree with you there, obviously. And there's there's great recipes on the internet that people can use. But, again, it's just like, if you're in the Pacific Northwest and you can't get blue crab and brown shrimp like we would in the Gulf to make a seafood gumbo, well, what else could you use? Like, go ahead and use a Dungeness crab. Go ahead and use Pacific kind of oysters, or maybe it's deep water langoustines for shrimp, and make you a gumbo that may be a lot more expensive than our gumbo. It's like you use what you have around you. That's one thing that I think people like really don't understand right away is that in South Louisiana, we have a whole pantry of ingredients that is very specific to South Louisiana. Gulf of Mexico's right there. That Mississippi River flows right into it. The ecosystem there is rich with anything that grows in the water, right? From redfish to crabs to oysters and so on. But also we have these meat markets that a lot of our food is derived from, or at least can be found in. The tassos, the smoked sausage, the andouilles, all that stuff. But not everybody is going to have that. And there's no shame if you are in, let's say, Chicago or other places in that kind of Great Lakes area, big Polish and Eastern European meat markets and culture there. Yeah. So it's okay to use like a kielbasa, right? Like use a kielbasa in your jambalaya. You want to make jambalaya? Use kielbasa or some other smoked sausage from those meat markets and make it your own like that, because there's no substitute for what you're going to get that's really close to you, that's local to you, that's fresh to you. These days you can order great andouille from Louisiana, from a lot of great meat markets. And if you want to do that, sure, go ahead. That's more money in my kinfolks kind of bank.
Yeah.
That's not also necessary. It can be yours depending on where you live. And look at your surroundings and the business and the food culture within your own community to drive those ingredients that may go into, just an example, a gumbo or a jambalaya or a etouffee.
Yeah.
Like, good. I think so anyway.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, it's cool to like try those new things and then make it your own. Like you could make a recipe and it for your family, and you could like that's yours. That's your dish that you make when you go visit the rest of your family at Christmas or Thanksgiving or some event like that. Now it's a little bit different when you're cooking for more people than your regular like family size stuff, which that's also something that you do a lot as well. That's a whole different art to the cooking side is cooking for 20, 30, 40, 100 people. Yeah. Yeah. That's a whole different thing. I wanted to talk to you because I know you do the Delta Waterfowl Expo, and I know you just got back from that, and it looked pretty cool. I want to make a trip to that one year and check it out, but definitely come eat some of your food. But kind of talk about how you cook for bigger crowds, and then kind of talk about what you did at the Delta Waterfowl Expo.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. Again, it really boils down to reps, and I've gotten, because I've worked in really serious kitchens over the course of my career in serious restaurant groups in serious cities, and I've cooked for the 100, 150, 200, 500 people a night regularly. It gave me a good foundation to where if like, for example, I'll be going to the American Royal at the end of October and cooking for the VIP tent for Prairie Fresh Pork, who's based out of Kansas City, and it's about 600 people I only have one thing that I'm cooking. I'm just doing it over and over and over again 600 times essentially. But I just, in some ways, you just take what you've learned out of all those reps in those kitchens, and instead of putting them drawn out between, 3 hours in a night and doing multiple dishes, you focus them into one dish where you have 3 hours to execute that one dish, and it's just double it, 600 a night. And so it's all, and obviously, but there's no professional kitchen there. We basically, prep everything on site. We're even cooking with griddles or usually one or two kind of different things we're cooking. But it just matters. Every place. I just did a wine dinner at Veritas Winery in Virginia. That was for 100 people, but that had a full kitchen. And extrememely intelligent, competent chefs and cooks that worked with us. So it's a different every event, every space, every special appearance type thing. They all have their different things. Some of them have no running water. One time, me and my buddy Jay, and one other person, we did a catering job for Ford over the course of 3 days. It was only 20 people a day, but it was 5 different dishes, and there was no running water, no electricity. Had to take everything, had to get on a trail for an hour to get to where we were cooking, which is a rock beach on the shore of Lake Erie. Though that obviously took a completely different kind of expertise to do. And so our whole mission there was like, okay, you have to know once you're out there, there's no going back. So we can't forget anything. That's one. Yeah. So checklists have to be dialed, right? Your prep lists have to be dialed. And, trying to just be resourceful as possible and trying to create that menu, knowing that you're going to be up against some very rudimentary cooking styles. We hit it. So we only use fire. So we use, different grills and pits and Dutch oven type things to better do that menu. But everyone is different. In terms of Delta Waterfowl Expo, which was in Baton Rouge, next year it's in Oklahoma City. I probably won't do the same thing I did in Oklahoma City because being in Louisiana, it was so easy to get what I needed.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Oklahoma City might be a little different, but for them, like, you couldn't have any open flame, right? So you even had to have electric burners, or you had to have induction burners, but there was no open flame. So everything that we cooked, like I brought my air fryer from back home. I had 3 induction burners. I had a crock pot, anything that would plug into an outlet. And that's how we cooked for there. But shoot, I racked up a $2,000 grocery bill, $1,000 at the grocery, and another $1,000 at the meat market. And we didn't charge, we just cooked. We treated it like the duck camp. In fact, we designed the whole thing like a duck camp. We put up pallets that we found in the grocery store, connected them together by 8-foot 2x4s, drilled them in, and then attached that to the curtain and drape setup that they give you, and then hung all kind of mounts and stuff like we had at duck camp. And we just cooked like we would at duck camp and just gave the food away. And it was a place that people could just stop and have a bite, and it was certainly better than the concession food that they serve at the thing. So, that was just our way of bringing the duck camp to Delta Waterfowl Expo. And I tell you what, I've done this. I knew it was going to work this way because I had done this a couple of different expos before. Sometimes a brand will come and say like, hey, would you mind just spending 2 hours in the booth cooking a jambalaya there? And, and when it's done, it's done. And when people people smell things in those because there's really no there's nothing cooked for one, right? And if there is something being cooked, it's like the nut guy,
Yeah.
Or somebody like giving pickles or beef jerky away. But we were doing some hardcore cooking there, so people would literally be walking around. We could see them walking around. They see the smoke coming from our event. That's where it's coming from. They just come shoot. A lot of people knew what duck camp dinners was. Some didn't, and it was our opportunity to talk to them about it. Which was good. And so, those things are fun, man. And anytime I get to cook for people, like I cook for my wife, my kid, and myself every day, but to really get out into the world, into society, and share your food and your art with others, that and you can do it through a different kind of perspective, because you have maybe one dinner is conceptualized in one way. Maybe it's about duck camp dinners, or maybe it's about seafood, or maybe it's about fire cooking. And so it's just fun creatively to kind of go into those places, and it's challenging. It's still, that's the fun part, right? It's like the fun, like, again, you do enough reps, you get really comfortable doing a certain amount of things. Mm-hmm. And so the challenge is actually part of the creative process of like getting over that hill of something that, wow, this is something I've maybe only done like 5 times and not for this many people. So this could be a challenge, and it's about, just understanding that challenge, kind of being called to that and figuring out a way through it.
Yeah. I mean, food is an awesome thing. And I think, especially in hunting, it's always, I think lately a lot of people are focused on, accomplishing goals, which obviously I want to accomplish things in the hunting realm too. But especially in Texas and like Louisiana with y'all's duck camps and stuff, it's here, it's about leases and going to the hunting lease and the food that you eat at the hunting lease. And I think you still, wherever you have that kind of hunting camp culture, I mean, you have it in the Midwest, you have it in the Northeast, especially in Pennsylvania and states like that. But kind of in the West, I think they don't have that aspect, of being able to be at a place and really kind of, I'm sure they have their family camps and stuff that they go on public land, but to have like kind of your own place where you and your friends and the people you enjoy being around and hunting with can hang out, hunt, have a good time, eat good food, cook that food together. That's another thing that you have in hunting camp is everybody's got their little job, or if it's cleaning something or, actually cooking or plating it or whatever, everybody kind of comes together. And I think that's something that people don't maybe like appreciate as much as they should. 'Cause like you said, out West, it's not really a thing as much as I hear. And it's so cool and be able to do those things together. And I think it makes everybody like have a better time.
Yeah, I think you nailed it right there, Brandon. You're right. I mean, we always think about food as this great kind of equalizer to bring people, right? You're so cliche. And even though it's true, it's like food brings people together, and you're like, all right, give me a break. Like, yeah. Food does bring me. It's been doing that since Jesus. And before, every animal, and you go watch a tiger kill a zebra in the Serengeti, there's going to be 5 other tigers eating on that zebra. That we're just animals around food. But you make a good point about like cooking it together. It's one of those, we're the only species of animal that cooks our food, right? That goes through a process of preparing our food in a certain way. Maybe I'm wrong there, but I can't think of one that is like, maybe a little salt on this liver would be better. But you're certainly right. You see that a lot in Texas, around the grill, especially around the asada, around the barbecue pit. You see it a lot in the garages and the stovetops of Louisiana, doing those gumbos and stirring a roux. And, I love my guys out West. Sometimes I look at those dudes, I'm like, these guys are the real killers. I don't know what I.
Oh yeah.
Real killers, but they're so used to hunting like by themselves or in pairs.
Mm-hmm.
Where duck hunting, like rare. I've hunted by myself once in my life, duck hunting, and I loved it. It was fun, but I certainly get much more out of hunting with 2 or 3 of my buddies in our A-frame full of eight buddies. And there's definitely a communal thing about duck hunting that's very similar to cooking food or eating food around a table with your friends. And I just think out West, they're so like, I'm gonna go and camp for for spring elk and spring or fall? Fall. Sorry. Thank you. See that's how much of an elk hunter I am. they do their 5-day camps and have a friend or two with them that, one's got the spotting scope and one shoots, and they'll switch and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
It's not they have that kind of camp where we have, and you're right, like we lease the same way. Like there's really not any great public land in Louisiana. There is some, but it's like, if you're going to go buy a mud boat, you're going to devote the resources to like duck hunting, which is like kind of infamous for being an expensive sport, like much more expensive than whitetail hunting.
Yeah.
Just in terms of like gear and whatever. Yeah. But
a dog.
And we lease a lot of land too. In fact, all my life I've hunted leases, not private leases, not private land. I mean, most of that land's owned by oil and gas or school boards or state that you lease certain acreage from, right?
Yeah.
And then if you're lucky, like you can't bait, you can't grow corn in the swamp. Like it is what it is. Nature will decide whether the ducks will come or not. The vegetation is there, and the hurricanes that come in and out, the saltwater intrusion that can affect so on and so where we hunt. But my point is that you don't always have the greatest years duck hunting, and especially if you're hunting land that you can't cultivate for ducks.
Yeah.
And so I often tell people, like, if you want to be a lifelong duck hunter, you better have some good friends to duck hunt with, because there are certainly going to be bad years, and it's your friends in the camp and that time you spend there that's going to keep you coming back weekend after weekend, not the ducks. And that's what it's really about. Don't get me wrong. We're there with the intention of killing ducks.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we know that even if that hunt sucks, we can have a hell of a good time at the camp. And that's the reason why we come back every year.
Yeah, dude, that's it right there. That's it. Cause like you said, it's hard in other forms of hunting too, to really ensure that you're gonna, get that big buck or kill that big elk or whatever you're hunting. But it's the people that you're hunting with. And I mean, I like going. Me and my buddy Jared went out to Idaho a couple years ago and like hunted mule deer, and like it was just the two of us, and like that was fun too. Like I want to go do it, but my heart and where I would rather be 9 times out of 10 is like in a hunting camp with all my buddies, and we're all going out hunting, and then we're coming back, we're cooking good food, we're having a good time. I mean, it's watching college football, like. Yeah. It's all that kind of stuff, and I mean it's all that put together that makes it so much fun, because in Texas and Louisiana we do love us some football. So
that's right. Look, call me uppity, but like I like my amenities. You know what I mean? I like my space heater if it's cold, air conditioned if it's hot. Like I'm not too ashamed to say that. I'm not too proud to say that. And if there's a good football game on the television, then I'm down to do that too. It's just like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like, good. I get all that, man. And I've never gone and done those like 3-day, 5-day camps, going elk hunting, mule deer hunting. I've always had a camp to come back to and so on.
Yeah.
And I suppose I'd be good at that, but like, see, that's another thing. Like, you know how to ride a horse, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
The horseback thing is on my list. Like that if I were to kill, if you were to tell me, Brandon, you have one shot to kill an elk, like one. This is the only one you're gonna get. What kind of hunt would you want to go on? And most people would say, I want that bull elk screaming in my face, and shoot him at 12 yards with my bow. For elk, for me, is horseback, camping, wall tent. I want to make a great shot with a rifle on a big bull elk. Like, if that was my one elk hunt, that's it right there.
Yeah. I mean,
like the stove, like you coming back in from hunting hard, and like you can see the smoke coming out of the wall tent. Before you see the wall tent, you just see it rising above the trees, and like once I get back to camp, like it's gonna be so warm in there. We're about to eat some good food. Like I want that picture in my head one day. Like I want to look up and I want to see that.
I like that. I like where your head's at.
Yeah.
This 40-year-old ain't never getting on a horse. I've never ridden a horse. Like, I often think to myself, I was like, you think that son of a bitch can carry me? I mean,
oh yeah. It'll carry you. It'll carry you.
No, I'd like, but my, like, I don't know. That's just for, I'm going. I have a lot of interest in going hunt a lot of different species, and fish a lot of different species, and not just waterfowl, but all kind of different. Like, I really passionately want to do that. I just can't stop thinking about shooting ducks. Like, that's the thing. If that's when I tell my wife, I was like, it's 60 days. And I don't really like, I may go on a turkey hunt or two in the spring. You know, I may go on a couple fishing trips in the summer. I love fishing.
Yep.
But those 60 days of duck season, like, that's my time where I make up for the rest of the year of me doing outdoors. So I could be like the guy who hunts and fishes everything, right? Like, I have friends like that. You and I know people like that. They're going all sorts of weeks.
If I could, I would. If I could, and Megan would allow it, we would start off now. We'd be hunting pronghorn, going to elk, going to mule deer, whitetails. Come around spring, I live in Texas. We can hunt exotics. Like, it would be, and fish in between the whole time. I'd do it.
Yeah. See, for me, Ramsey Russell has it made for me from Get Ducks. And one of my dreams is following the migration. So starting in early September in Canada, working my way with the migration down the Mississippi River Flyway, ending down in Mexico. And, that would probably take 5 months, to follow the flyway, the whole down from where they start to where they end. And then by that time, the season's over and they start making their spring migration back north. And that's one of my things that I'd love to do. But he gets to not only do that, but then when it's summertime in North America, it's winter in South America, and he's in Argentina and all the places down there hunting ducks. And I'm like,
yeah,
man hasn't made. He's playing chess. The rest of us are just
yeah. I saw my buddy Tony Caggiano and Renard Moody from 24/7 Hunt. Tony works with Field Ethos, and they were down in Argentina, and I was watching both of their stories as they were together, but they were hunting dove for a couple days, and then they went and got on the ducks. And I'm like, dude, it's so cool down there. I've known a few people that have went and hunted down there, like my in-laws, Megan's parents. They've been down there hunting a few times, but it's a lot of birds.
I've been once, and it was one of the most incredible 4 days of my hunting life. And it wasn't the ducks that really got me. It was everything else that we did. We were hunting this upland bird called perdiz, Perdiz. Have you ever heard of it?
No, I haven't.
They're a little bigger than quail. They flush similar. They don't cubby the same as quail, but they're wild as wild can be. And you hunt them with dogs, and it's just, so we got to do the duck dove perdiz, and then what's the name of the fish? It's a big old bright orange fish. I'm blanking on it, but it's down in Argentina. A lot of people fly. Dorado, golden Dorado.
Yeah.
Yep. So we got to do all 4 of that in those 4 days from this one lodge. There, it was just perfectly situated for it.
Yeah.
And it was.
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Los Lorales.
Los Lorales.
Yeah.
Huh. I'll have to look that up. I mean, like I said, I'm all about traveling and going to places. You just gotta, find the means to get there. But but add it to the list. One of the things, like, people talk about Argentina, like, it's the one of the meccas for bird hunting, but like Mexico, like I kind of want to make a trip down there because now that I have my passport, because I got my passport finally when we got married. We went to Belize for our honeymoon, so I didn't have one before that. So like now I'm like, oh well, Mexico's like right there. Like we hunt whitetails, mule deer, there's a whole bunch of stuff right there. We can go do. But yeah, I want to go dove hunting down there in Mexico. I've seen a couple places I've found on Instagram and stuff that host hunts and have ranches down there. But it looks like a good time, and it's a lot closer in Argentina.
Yeah, holler at me. I got some good connections in Mexico that are like really incredible lodges and people that'll put you on the birds too. So, like, if you're serious about it, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. I will.
But yeah, no, Mexico's a cool place. We had a fun time in Mexico too. I've only been there once. In fact, I've been to Mexico twice. One for senior trip and one for that. So one doesn't count.
Yeah.
One I have to think about. And then Argentina. And other than that, it's always been North America. That's Mexico. I guess is still North America.
Yeah. We don't think about it as it is, but it is. It's its own little thing down there. That's funny, man. Well, dude, what do you got planned for the rest of the year? I know you got the duck camp dinner episodes coming out and stuff, but like what's kind of on the schedule for where you're going to go hunt this year?
Well, I got a baby coming September 12th. He or she, we don't know, is due September 12th. So that's got me sidelined for teal, and I'm really happy about that. I'm excited to have this new one to make it a family of 4.
Yeah.
And so that's going to be exciting, man. I'll say this. Everybody who watches duck camp dinners, including you, Brandon, especially the ones that rewatch it, that like it, that thumbs up, that save it, that share it. Thank you so much. We can't make the show without people who love it, watch it, and do all those things I just mentioned. It enables me to go to my partners that help me fund this show and say, here's how popular or unpopular, popular in this case, this show is. Here's how it resonates with people. Here's the loyal brand following that you're going to get by helping fund this show.
Yeah.
And I'm not too proud. Look, like, I love duck camp dinners. It's my baby, but it takes money to make.
Mm-hmm.
And I need good partners like Boss Shot Shells and Shin Gear and Slappy Mama Seasoning and ConocoPhillips and so on to help me make this show. It doesn't happen without people watching it and commenting and sharing and liking and all those things. This is why I'm on this podcast, so I can get to more people and tell more people about duck camp dinners. Yep. That all said, I don't know if I'm going to make a season 4. And so I have nothing planned November, December, and January, because if I can put the money together and make a season 4, of course I will film most of December and January.
Yeah.
And I have some ideas on what season 4 will be. I don't want to quite tease them out yet, but it's just the show's going to constantly evolve and get better and better. And we're going to try to reach more places, see more things, hunt with more people, eat different food, hunt different birds, different species of other second pursuits and animals and so on. So those things are going to evolve as long as I can continue making the show. But none of that happens without the viewer support, whether that be on a streaming platform by tuning in, or a YouTube platform by tuning in and leaving your comments and sharing and so on. Like, everything, like, that is the most valuable thing out of making good content, is having people that actually believe in it and tell you they believe in it, and so you can have proof to show people like, hey, this is why you should come in and be a partner with us on this show. And that's just the business behind these types of shows.
Mm-hmm.
I have no cookbook to sell. I don't have seasonings to sell. I don't have like my own pan line or knife line or anything like that. My job is to sell this show and to make good content that not just entertaining, but it's tangible, that you can take something from it and use it in your life. You can go into your freezer and then bring it into your house, and then you can cook it for your family, and you've gotten that recipe or that idea of a duck camp dinners. That is what I'm selling. That is what I'm selling. And so none of this is about me. This is about giving the viewer something better, something more, something that they actually deserve than all the other, frankly, bullshit that's out there. So it's not about me. It's about telling stories of others, giving you, Brandon, and everyone else listening something that they can be proud of as an outdoorsman, a hunter, an angler, or just somebody that just loves nature. And that's the point of the show. And hopefully, we're seeing that happen. Our brand partners, like, they're recognizing that authenticity in the show. This is not to make Jean-Paul Bouugeois look better. This is to bring better story, better content to our viewer. And then that person that's associated gets to be part of like a truly authentic, passionate project. Like, that is worth a lot, considering like all the manufactured content that we see on media today.
Yeah.
So, that's why you should go out and watch Duck Cam Dinners. And because even if you're not a duck hunter or you know nothing about Louisiana, I promise you there's something in every episode for you. And that's why we shoot it that way. Like, we don't need to shoot a duck in an episode. It will still be entertaining because there'll be a lot of cooking, there'll be conservation, there'll be talking about hunting dogs, we'll be touching all kind of different subjects that kind of are in the same sphere as every hunter, but may not get touched on in other shows. So to me, that's this kind of secret sauce behind it.
Yeah, and this ain't made up. I can attest to it because I don't duck hunt. I've been duck hunting one time. I've never even shot a duck in my life, but I like watching this show. I mean, I like learning the recipes. I like trying them here at home, like we talked about earlier. It's everything about it, like hanging out. It's a part of like Tejas Hunt Club. Like, why did I start the brand and start the podcast? Is because I wanted to be like a hunt club. Same thing as duck camp. It's hanging out, talking with your buddies, having good food, laughing, cutting up, playing pranks, like all of that stuff put together is why I like the show. It's why I do what I do. It's fun. It's so much better to be around than than anything else, I think, in the world.
Yeah. Well, thank you for saying that. And look, just like, as somebody who makes show, we know each other. We go back a few years now. Thanks for watching, man. And thank you to all the people listening that have watched it, that have followed my journey. Thank you for those new viewers that are like, maybe I should go check out this show. Watch all of them. Just thank you for watching it. Again, like, it does not happen, does not continue to happen. This show does not get made if people don't like it. So it helps me to get those views, to show folks so I can continue making this show. It's kind of like a GoFundMe, but I just need you to watch it.
Yeah.
Give me any money.
You don't have to give me any money. Just watch it.
Write a comment. Tell me what you loved or not loved. Reach out to me on Instagram. Connect with me, and I can do my best to point you in whatever direction. All that stuff matters, man.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like Jean-Paul said, like, everybody go check out Duck Camp Dinners, YouTube, Instagram. Check out Jean-Paul's Instagram. I mean, you're gonna learn something. Don't pester him about every little recipe now. No, but watch his stuff and learn, because I learned a lot about cooking from the time that I spent with him. I learned a lot about filming and what I do, like everything. So make sure everybody listening, go check out Duck Camp Dinners, and we're gonna be posting about them, sharing those stories, everything else. So y'all go check it out. And Jean-Paul, man, I'm glad you came on the podcast. I'm glad we got to catch up. I'm excited for you. I like I said, I love the show. So we'll definitely be sharing everything out on as much as we can, for sure. And then I'll be tuning in for the rest of the season, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I appreciate the platform and what you've built and been able to talk about, the things that get me out of bed at night. Well, these days I am getting out of
yeah.
period. So look, thank you for sharing your platform with me, and thank you for sharing your listeners with me. And for those who don't know, you can catch me on Instagram at Chef Jean, JEAN _Paul. You can check out the Duck Camp Dinners Instagram. You go and Split Read YouTube channel. Watch every episode from 1 and 2, and then season 3 will be on there as well. Waypoint TV every Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Amazon Prime, dog. We on Amazon Prime these days. But
that's awesome, man.
It's just trying to find places and ways to get more people engaged with the show. That's our goal. And so I appreciate y'all listening, appreciate connecting, Brandon. And Lou, stay in touch, man. Come on now.
I will.
I live in Florida now. You got to come to the beach one day, and we can go surf fishing for some pompano.
We can do that.
Covered, bro,
Heck yeah, man. We can do that for sure. Like I said, guys, we'll put everything in the description below, all the links to everything Jean-Paul just mentioned, so y'all can click on it pretty easy and go check everything out. And, man, I hope y'all enjoyed the episode. This one was a lot of fun for me, getting to talk to my boy. But thank y'all for listening. I hope y'all tune in next week, and we'll catch y'all next time.
Peace. Guys.